Absolutely no Celtics news? No problem. The grind never stops for the Boston faithful, and right now, we're all just living off scraps and speculation. But even in the middle of an NBA dead zone, the Celtics fan base continues to grow, and it's growing fast. Over 2,000 subscribers and counting, all showing up day after day, even when there's not a single roster move in sight. That's the kind of energy Boston lives on: grit, grind, and relentless hope. And if you're not part of that yet, it's time. Hop in, because today we're diving into some spicy off-season scenarios, and yes, it's mostly hypothetical. But hey, sometimes speculation is more fun than the games themselves. Let's start with something that has been buzzing lately. No, not the outlandish Anthony Simons trade rumors that make zero sense. We're not wasting time on fake math that magically makes Simons fit on Denver's cap sheet or Philadelphia's playstyle. We're talking about something that could make sense. Something involving a guy that has been floating in and out of Celtics Twitter for weeks now: Malik Monk. Now, if you haven't been following the chaos in Sacramento, first of all, good for you. But let me catch you up. For some inexplicable reason, the Kings seem to be actively trying to move Malik Monk. Why? That's unclear. Do they have a true point guard? Not really. They've got Dennis Schroeder, sure, and Keon Ellis is coming up. An absolute menace on defense, by the way. But Monk was a real offensive engine for them, especially when Fox missed time. And somehow, they're ready to let him go? Let's talk hypotheticals. The trade floating around looks something like this. Boston receives Malik Monk and Isaac Jones, a small contract filler with a low cap hit. Monk is under contract for just under $19 million per year, with 3 years left. On the flip side, Sacramento receives Anthony Simons, who's making $27 million this upcoming season and then enters free agency. That's where this gets interesting. Because yes, on paper, Simons might be the better scorer. Last season, he averaged 19 points, almost 5 assists, and shot a clean 38% from deep for his career. But Monk? 17 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and a second-place finish in the 6th Man of the Year voting. Not to mention, he was a finalist for Clutch Player of the Year. He's not just putting up empty numbers. He's affecting games down the stretch. Now let's break this down from Boston's angle. The key difference between these two players isn't just stats, it's the contract. Simons is a 1-year rental. There's zero chance he wants to sign for less than what he's currently making. He's angling for a long-term deal, probably in the range of 75 to 100 million total, maybe 3 years with a player option. Boston simply can't afford that. They can't commit to a guy with that kind of price tag unless he's a guaranteed game changer. And with Simons, there are too many unknowns. Monk, on the other hand, gives you long-term value under $20 million per year. For a team trying to stay under the second tax apron, that's gold. Is Malik Monk a perfect fit? Not exactly. He's not a point guard. He's not the defensive presence that Boston loves to build around. But he's a spark. He's the kind of guy that can come off the bench, give you 20 minutes of chaos, and win you a game when Tatum or Brown is off. And let's be honest, the Celtics have a history of leaning on guys like that. Think of what Marcus Smart used to do. Think of what Derek White does now. Monk could slide into that chaotic energy role without disrupting the core. And for those worried that Monk's skill set overlaps with Peyton Pritchard, well, sure. But that's also true for Simons. In fact, you could argue Simons and Pritchard are even more redundant. Two small guards, both shoot first, both questionable on defense. Monk gives you more playmaking, more versatility, and he's already proven he can thrive as a 6th man. That's not nothing. Speaking of Pritchard, he's been active this offseason, not just in the gym, but in the media. In a recent interview, he said exactly what every fan wants to hear. This isn't a gap year. This isn't a rebuild. This is a statement season, and he's ready to prove it. Say what you want about Pritchard's ceiling, but the man is motivated. And let's not pretend last season was some fluke. He played in 80 games, doubled his three-point volume, and still shot 40% from deep. That's not easy. That's elite. We're talking about a guy who was expected to be a bench filler and instead stepped into real minutes, real production, and real consistency. 14 points a game, 4 boards, 3.5 assists, and again, 40% from deep on 8 attempts per game. That's not just efficient. That's dangerous. That's a guy who can actually space the floor and bend a defense, especially when he's your fourth or fifth option. Now, yes, there's a good chance the efficiency dips this season. That's what happens when your usage goes up and defenses start game planning for you. But the volume tells you something. Pritchard isn't afraid. He's not just out there to be a role player. He wants the ball. He wants the moment. And based on everything he's saying, he's ready to expand his game even further. That's where the Celtics might really find value. Because Pritchard's next step isn't about scoring. It's about playmaking. It's about becoming a guy who can actually run the offense. Right now, people call him a point guard because he's short and can dribble. That's lazy. He's more of a combo guard with a flamethrower mentality. But if he can evolve into a true facilitator, if he can run a pick and roll, find cutters, read defenses, and stay solid on the other end, that changes everything. And look, nobody is expecting him to be an all-defensive guy. That's not his job. His job is to not get hunted. If he can stay afloat on that end while contributing offensively in a meaningful way, he becomes more than just a bench spark. He becomes a rotation lock, and maybe, just maybe, a low-key X factor for this team's success. Because when we look at the Celtics roster right now, we know what we're getting from Tatum and Brown. We know what Derek White brings. The real swing pieces are Pritchard, whoever ends up playing the five, and whether or not someone like Simons or Monk can be more than just a name on a depth chart. And that brings us back to the front court, which remains the biggest question mark heading into the season. Who steps up? Is it Chris Boucher, the 32-year-old everyone's pretending is a young big with upside? Is it Neemias Quetta, who's been balling out for Portugal in Eurobasket? Is it Luka Garza, finally getting real NBA minutes? We don't know. And that uncertainty is both exciting and terrifying. It could be a hidden gem waiting to break out, or it could be the one thing that holds this team back. What's clear is that the Celtics aren't in a position to make a major splash. They need value. They need depth. They need guys who can contribute now without breaking the bank. That's why a guy like Monk makes so much sense. That's why Pritchard's development is so crucial. That's why finding the right role for guys like Boucher and Quetta could swing an entire playoff series. And hey, while we're on the topic of value, let's talk about Malik Beasley for a second. For a brief moment, it looked like his entire career was about to unravel due to a federal investigation. Clips started circulating, Beasley chasing down his own rebound in garbage time, throwing down a dunk just to cover the spread. It didn't look good, but the investigation ended, and Beasley was cleared. Now he's back in the mix. Last season, Beasley shot 40% from deep on 10 attempts per game. Let me say that again. Asterisk 10 threes per game star. That's elite shooting on elite volume. He played all 82 games, averaged 27 minutes. And still, he's a free agent because that investigation scared teams off. But now he might be the biggest bargain on the market. And sure, the Pistons still seem like the front runners to bring him back. They've got the cap space. They've got the fit. But if Boston could swoop in with a low-risk, short-term offer, that's the kind of move that changes your bench dynamic entirely. Beasley is a sniper. He's a microwave. He's the kind of guy who can hit 5 threes in a quarter and swing a playoff game. And if the Celtics could get him on the cheap, that's a win. But again, that only works if Tatum is on the floor. Beasley isn't your plan A or B or even C. He's a luxury. He's a cherry on top. You don't bring him in to carry a unit. You bring him in to finish what the core started. That's why the timing has to be right. And if the Celtics believe in Pritchard, if they trust that Monk could handle a bigger role, if they think their bigs can hold up, then yeah, maybe Beasley is worth a flyer. Of course, hypothetical trades and off-season narratives are fun, but none of it matters if the players themselves aren't buying in. And that's why Peyton Pritchard's recent comments hit different. This isn't a guy quietly accepting a backup role or talking like someone who sees himself riding the bench behind a big-name signing. No, Pritchard is looking around, hearing the chatter, and straight up saying, I'm ready. I'm here, and I'm not taking a back seat. That mindset matters. That's leadership without the title. He's not asking for the spotlight. He's just preparing like someone who expects to take it. That's why when he talks about controlling what he can control, it feels authentic. It's not media training. It's not some canned response about just trying to help the team. He wants to change games. He wants to prove the doubters wrong. And he's already done that once. The jump he made from being a fringe rotation guy to a legitimate weapon off the bench didn't happen by accident. He reinvented his game last year, and now he's coming for more. Just look at the numbers. Prior to last season, he was a guy averaging under 10 points per game, barely cracking consistent minutes. Then he exploded, 14 points per game, with 3.5 assists on efficient splits. But what really tells the story is the shot profile. 8 3-point attempts per game. Not just catch and shoot looks either. He was pulling up in transition, coming off screens, taking deep bombs with confidence. That tells you everything about where his head's at. He believes he belongs. And now the organization has a choice. Do you bet on that belief, or do you hedge with another veteran? That's why this Simons versus Pritchard debate isn't just about stats or contracts. It's about trajectory. Simons has had a longer leash. He's had the minutes, the usage, and the role to inflate those numbers. Pritchard? He's done more with less. There's value in that. There's resilience in that. And in a league that's obsessed with upside, maybe Boston has their answer sitting right in front of them. Maybe he doesn't need to be replaced. Maybe he just needs a real shot. And yeah, of course, we've got to be realistic. Pritchard has flaws. He's not a lockdown defender. He's not a traditional floor general who's going to rack up 12 assists and dominate the tempo. But in this modern NBA, where spacing, speed, and shot creation are king, he brings something valuable. And if the Celtics trust him to grow into that facilitator role, just incrementally, that could be enough. Because really, the Celtics aren't looking for a Luka Doncic type. They're not searching for someone to dominate every possession. Tatum and Brown are going to carry the bulk of the creation load. What they need is someone who can dribble the ball up the court without coughing it up, get the offense in a gear, hit open shots, and make smart decisions in transition. That's Pritchard's wheelhouse. And if he's improving defensively, if he's reading the floor better, suddenly you're not looking at him as a placeholder. You're looking at him as a legitimate part of a championship rotation. Meanwhile, we still don't know what this big man situation is going to look like. There are names floating around. Chris Boucher, Neemias Queta, even Luka Garza, and none of them give you the immediate confidence of a Robert Williams or a peak Al Horford. But that doesn't mean there isn't potential. Boucher, for all the jokes about his age, is still capable of giving you energy minutes. He runs the floor well, protects the rim in spurts, and can knock down the occasional corner three. He's not a 30-minute night guy, but in the right role, he can thrive. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The NBA world is buzzing with whispers and speculation after a shocking report has surfaced regarding Trae Young, the Atlanta Hawks' electrifying point guard known for his deep shooting range and audacious playmaking skills. According to multiple sources inside the league, Young has reportedly agreed to a blockbuster deal with the Boston Celtics, leaving the city of Atlanta stunned and fans across the league scrambling to process the implications. While official confirmation from the teams has not yet arrived, insiders suggest that the negotiations have been quietly ongoing for weeks, with Celtics management pursuing Young aggressively to reshape the team's dynamic heading into the next season. The rumor mill suggests that this potential move is part of a larger strategy to bring championship contention back to Boston, a city with a storied basketball history, but one that has faced recent playoff disappointments. Analysts are already speculating about how Young's arrival could alter the Celtics' offensive schemes, potentially pairing him with Jason Tatum in a lethal scoring tandem that could rival some of the greatest duos in modern NBA history. Atlanta fans are reportedly divided between disbelief and outrage, with social media erupting in a mixture of memes, hot takes, and nostalgic reflections on Young's time with the Hawks, highlighting both his individual brilliance and the team's ups and downs. The conversation surrounding this rumored deal has already sparked debates about salary cap implications, potential trades, and the cascading effects on other Eastern Conference teams, creating a sense of excitement and tension that could dominate NBA headlines for weeks. Trae Young's supposed move to Boston is stirring intense speculation not only about the Celtics' immediate prospects, but also about the long-term strategy of the franchise, which has been searching for a transformational talent to complement its core roster. The point guard, celebrated for his fearless approach and ability to hit shots from well beyond the arc, could dramatically change the Celtics' offensive identity, pushing them toward a faster-paced, high-scoring style that aligns with the modern NBA trend of perimeter-oriented play. Rumors suggest that Boston's front office sees Young as the missing piece to finally bridge the gap between playoff contention and championship glory, a vision that has been tantalizingly close in recent seasons, yet just out of reach. Within league circles, chatter has intensified around how Young's playmaking might elevate the Celtics' existing stars, while simultaneously creating new challenges in terms of rotations, defensive matchups, and locker room chemistry. Observers are already imagining scenarios where Young's deep shooting opens lanes for cuts, pick-and-roll efficiency skyrockets, and Boston becomes one of the most feared offensive teams in the league. Meanwhile, speculation about the Hawks' response is rampant, with insiders suggesting Atlanta may enter a period of aggressive rebuilding, potentially leveraging Young's departure to acquire young talent, draft picks, or other established players to reconstruct a competitive roster. Social media reactions have reached a fever pitch, with hashtags trending, fan polls conducted in real time, and sports analysts dissecting every possible implication for the Eastern Conference, heightening the sense that this rumored move could mark a seismic shift in the NBA landscape, if confirmed. Amid the swirling rumors, the narrative surrounding TRAE Young's alleged Boston agreement has sparked a frenzy of commentary from former players, coaches, and media personalities who are weighing in on the potential ramifications for both franchises. Some argue that Young's fearless scoring ability and deep ball proficiency could immediately turn the Celtics into a championship contender, especially if paired with an already talented roster that includes versatile forwards and sharpshooters capable of capitalizing on his playmaking. Others caution that integrating a high-usage guard like Young may present challenges, including adjustments to team chemistry, spacing, and defensive responsibilities, highlighting the delicate balance between acquiring superstar talent and maintaining cohesion. Atlanta's fan base is reportedly processing the news with a mix of anger, nostalgia, and a grudging admiration for Young's achievements during his tenure with the Hawks, a period that featured record-breaking performances, all-star selections, and memorable playoff runs. Meanwhile, speculation is rampant about the potential trade mechanisms, salary cap gymnastics, and draft considerations that could accompany such a monumental move, leaving pundits to dissect every angle in intricate detail. Even casual NBA observers are captivated by the unfolding drama, with online forums and sports talk shows dissecting every nuance of the rumor, including hypothetical starting lineups, offensive schemes, and the ripple effects across rival teams in the Eastern Conference. The intensity of this chatter reflects a growing anticipation that, whether or not the deal is finalized, Young's rumored departure is already reshaping perceptions of what the Celtics and Hawks might become in the near future, fueling endless debate among fans and analysts alike. If the rumored TRAE Young signing with Boston materializes, the implications for the Eastern Conference could be seismic, sparking a domino effect across multiple franchises vying for playoff positioning. Teams such as the Philadelphia 76ers, Milwaukee Bucks, and Miami Heat may need to reconsider their strategies in response to a Celtics team potentially armed with one of the league's most prolific offensive weapons. Insiders suggest that Young's ability to create shots, facilitate ball movement, and stretch defenses could fundamentally alter Boston's style of play, allowing the team to implement more dynamic schemes that exploit matchups and challenge conventional defensive strategies. Meanwhile, Atlanta faces a crossroads, potentially entering a rebuilding phase or leveraging the opportunity to acquire complementary pieces that could secure long-term competitiveness. The rumored move has also sparked intense discussion about player empowerment, contract negotiations, and franchise decision-making, with analysts noting that Young's agency and the Celtics' willingness to pursue such a high-profile acquisition reflect broader trends in the NBA regarding superstars taking control of their destinies. Social media platforms have become a hub of speculation, with fans debating the merits of the move, imagining potential lineups, and dissecting every tweet from league insiders for hidden clues. This level of attention highlights how a single rumored transaction can dominate the sports narrative, influence betting odds, and create a palpable sense of excitement and tension in arenas, fan communities, and boardrooms across the league, signaling that Young's story is now central to the NBA's unfolding drama. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.